Welcome to week 1 of the Advanced Sprint Distance training plan. I hope that you have already watched the introductory video that is linked to in this note here on day 1 of the training plan. If not, I would recommend that you watch that video first because it covers a lot of the general aspects of getting the most out of this training plan. Then, as you have noted, if you watch that video or if you have looked through this plan, you will see that each week we will have a weekly video and also some written notes that you can find. And my recommendation is that at the end of the week, so maybe it's Sunday before you start the next week, or maybe it's Friday, whatever works best for you really, you sit down and look through all of the workouts of the coming week. Make sure that you understand everything you're supposed to do. If you need to do any rescheduling because of other commitments, then you can do that ahead of time and make sure no surprises come up. And you watch the video and you read the notes so that you know exactly how to get the most out of the week to come. So take that as a weekly routine that you go through throughout the entirety of this training plan. So getting to the specifics of this week, it is a transition week. So we're kind of assuming that you're getting back into training after maybe taking your season break, which I would normally recommend for most people. It does vary, but if you have been consistently training throughout the year, you have been racing quite a bit, you basically you're in need of a break. You don't take necessarily too many breaks during the year otherwise, unless you specifically get one. Then I would recommend always taking a two-week period of time completely off training at some point after your last race, and then starting to build up again. So the assumption of this plan is that you're coming back after such a 2-week break. If that's not the case, if you have been training consistently around 10 hours or so for the last few weeks, then you can feel free to skip week 1 and week 2, which are the transition weeks of this plan, and skip straight to week 3, which is where we will go through the initial performance testing and set your training zones and the like. So that is an option, but you don't have to do that either. You can choose to go through these transition weeks if you want to. But the purpose of this week is to just ease you back into training, gradually build up your volume, and the majority of the training we do is just pure and simple aerobic endurance work. We also do carefully introduce some intensity in all 3 disciplines to keep in touch with all the muscle fibers, including the fast twitch fibers. And also importantly, and this is something that sometimes is forgotten about, to just build good biomechanics and motor patterns, which doing some fast work, whether it's in the pool, on the run, or on the bike, can help with the mechanics and the motor patterns of coordination and things like that. So that is a part of this plan. In particular, in some of the workouts on the run, I will ask you to do hill sprints and strides, and there I would like to point out to really read through these instructions carefully. Strides are not all-out sprints, but they are accelerations to best relaxed speed, and technique is what we're after here, and quality, not necessarily absolute output in terms of speed, but also it's important to really take the rests as walking recoveries and get the most out of each. This is not about getting your average speed up. Endurance work is never about that. So I won't go too much into detail because I have written about it in detail, but I want to point out that strides and hill sprints on the run, there is some quite some detail to how to execute them to get the most out of them. So read through that, and again, it comes down to doing the stride or the hill sprint with great quality, recovering really well, being able to do it fresh, so to say. So and the purpose there also being technical development as much as any sort of speed or power development. So think about that when it comes to the run. On the swim, we have some analogous speed sprints or form sprints, or you could call them that. So we have 25s where you do sets of 125 as fast but relaxed, 125 very fast, and 125 very easy. The purpose there is the same. It's not so much about whether you can swim the fast but relaxed at a certain speed or the very fast at a certain speed or split, but it's about the quality of movement really. So, and that's going to be the case throughout the plan when we do speed work in the pool, really getting the quality there. Yes, you want to be fast, and if you get faster, that's great, but it's not about just fighting the water to get the best possible time. It's about getting the best time you can get with really maximal quality of movement. So that's a few workouts that I wanted to highlight. On the bike and the run, we have some threshold work, on the bike only this week, and on the run it will be from next week. So on the bike, when you do these threshold intervals, it's 8 times 1 minute at 95 to 100% of your estimated FTP. Keep in mind that this first week you will just have to rely on what you estimate that your FTP is, and that's fine. If you're in doubt, err on the side of estimating lower rather than higher. Either way, 8 times 1 minute is, of course, not a very challenging workout, and it's not meant to be. It's just to get you moving again and get in touch with those muscle fibers just a little bit. So there's no need to go harder or do more than planned. Just stick to the prescription there. On the endurance side of things, so just the general endurance work, the endurance rides, you have the endurance runs and all of the endurance work in some of the workouts we've already talked about. It's always better to err on the side of caution. You won't get more out of just sticking to trying to absolutely always stick to the high end of the prescribed range, which is why it's really important when you execute these workouts. I have written a verbal description of what it should feel like, and it's really important to pay attention to that. That's probably more important than any power or heart rate zone, to follow that feel-based prescription as well, or at least it's equally important. So again, the point is not that you have to stay at the high end of the zone or the range. You can definitely stay at the low end or even go lower, as long as it feels right, that it feels like you're doing endurance work. And keep in mind, you won't get more out of this type of work, the aerobic foundational work, by going harder. You will get as much of it by going easier, but then you will build up an equally good foundation, sometimes better if your tendency is to go too hard and become a bit too anaerobic. And but then the difference is that when we get to the really hard part of the training program, you'll be able to do the workouts with that much greater quality. So keep that in mind. You have nothing to gain by going too hard in the endurance workouts. On the bike, one thing that I want to talk about as well is that you don't have to spend all of your time in the TT position, but I think it still is good to year-round do some work in the TT position. So I would say do 1 at maybe 2 workouts in the TT position, and then if you do the third or 1 or 2 workouts on the road bike maybe, or that's completely fine. So, or even gravel could be a good option for some of the endurance rides. So yeah, those are some things to keep in mind with the workouts. One final thing is the strength and conditioning work. So we have a hips and glutes workout and a complete core workout. So these are circuit type workouts, and that's the kind of strength work you will be doing throughout this plan. I have a few different circuits that rotate basically through the plan. And the idea here is that basically if you do 20 minutes of quality strength work, then you don't necessarily have to do all of the exercises. Just be efficient with your work, of course, and try to do as many as possible. But if you get to 20 minutes and you have a couple of sets of, or you have one set of a couple of workouts left to do, you don't necessarily have to do more than that. It's better to frequently do the workouts and do a short but frequent bouts of strength and conditioning that is effective in keeping you keeping your chassis basically in shape to handle the endurance work that you're doing. That's better than to do longer strength workouts but not doing it as consistently. Of course, you could do longer strength workouts and get kind of the best of both worlds while being consistent. But the point here in this plan is that not everybody necessarily wants to go to the gym or has access to go to the gym. So gym work is something that you would have to plan separately if you want to include that. These circuits are circuits that you can do at home with equipment that is easy to have and easy to store, cheap to get. So that's the purpose of these strength workouts. But do all the exercises with quality. It's similar to the hill sprints and strides and sprints in the water and so on. Do things with quality, and then you'll get the most out of it. And that's kind of that will be an unfair advantage for you, or you will be so much better after 22 weeks if you focus in each and every workout on doing it with the best possible quality. That doesn't mean the most power or the most pace. It means quality, and that depends on the purpose of the workout, I guess. So on that vague note, that's it for this week. Good luck, enjoy the week, and I'll talk to you next week.